I'm sick, Daisy. We know that. But here you are in so-called recovery playing Betty Crocker cut up like a goddamn Virginia ham.
Just stop it, okay?
Girl Interrupted is a 1999 biographical drama about an 18-year-old girl, Susanna Kaysen, played by Winona Ryder, who was sent off to a mental institution by her parents, developing bonds with a core group of young women at the facility. Her main friendship being with a sociopath, Lisa Rowe, played by Angelina Jolie. The oddity of this tale being, Susanna didn't really seem to belong there.
What is it? Are you puzzled about something?
I guess I am, Melvin. I guess I'm puzzled as to why it is I have to be in a mental institution.
She spent 18 months of her young adult life at Claymore for being nothing more than a directionless teenager who, had a very terrible one-off incident of swallowing a bunch of pills. And after a rewatch, it seemed that a lot of the central characters in that film didn't really belong in a full-blown mental institution. Sure, they may have needed some therapy and help coping with tragedies that happened in their life, but being sanctioned away from society and fed pills to cure their anxieties seemed like a special kind of cruel and unusual punishment.
Are we going to have a problem?
And if this was truly a reflection of the times, how many other women were sanctioned away to a mental hospital as literal teenagers in the 1960s for an eating disorder or being gay or having a fantastical imagination that causes them to lie, or for their unfortunate reactions to being abused by their parent?
I'm going to sleep now. Please be gone in the morning.
This film isn't about these young women being treated for their illnesses. In fact, I'd argue that the main focal point isn't even about the friendships that Susanna develops. It's about a generation of women whose pain was reduced to labels and how those labels shape their identity, and should serve as a reminder to us to not let others interrupt our own existence with their labeling. Throughout the film, we can see that these women are emotionally intelligent at times, not all the time, but at times. They are clever and completely comprehensive, and yet they aren't seen as the daughters that they are, or the dreamers or future writers, or as literal teenagers, which most of them are. And because they are so young and impressionable, many of the characters actually lean in very heavily to uphold themselves by the labels that they've been given.
How dare you! Hey, some advice, okay? Just don't point your fucking finger at crazy people!
Even Susanna, who is the baseline quote-unquote normal one, starts to do it, at her own convenience, of course. Susanna's biggest battle wasn't against Claymore. It was against her own certainty. She is clear on who she is. It's a piece of dialogue that remains consistent throughout the film. Her plan is to write. She wants to be a writer. But everyone else around her challenges her idea of herself and tries to tell her who she is. Her psychiatrist, her parents, the boyfriend, the nurses, the doctors. And when someone is repeatedly told that they are this thing, like a borderline in Susanna's case, it's easy to play into and perform that identity, especially when it's already expected of you.
Uncertainty about goals, impulsive activities that are self-damaging, social contrariness, and a generally pessimistic attitude. Oh, that's me.
Like Susanna knew that she wasn't promiscuous.
I'm not promiscuous.
In the film, it's noted that she only had 2 partners, one of which was an adult male predator, which we'll talk about later. Yet, when she sees on her diagnoses that the characteristics of borderline personality disorder includes, well, being promiscuous, she embraces that and acts out by making out with an orderly the same day that she was intimate with her boyfriend, because it's expected of her, right? Which brings me to the point of these main characters being teenagers. Like, please tell me, when you first saw this film, did you all know that? Because I sure didn't. Like, I assumed all of these characters were in their 20s when I first watched this years ago. And I don't know if it was the choices in hairstyle or wardrobe, or the fact that Winona Ryder was 28 years old when this came out, or what, but the fact that the core group of this tale is supposed to be teenage kids made this story all the wilder. this film is an important piece of media that reflects on how ridiculously easy it was for an other or an oddity in society to be put and hid away from the quote-unquote normal population, and how acceptable it was for the problems within a household to be shifted on to young women instead of the people that caused them. When you really pay attention, half of these young women in the story are just casualties of shit that their parents did. Behind some of these diagnoses is a parent who was absent or abusive or neglectful or just unwilling to confront the real problem. Starting with Susanna, the main character, the protagonist, her parents are completely self-absorbed and cold. Packing a suitcase, putting it in a cab, and blindsiding your kid by shipping her off to a mental institution, then needing her out by Christmas with no concern if she's actually quote-unquote better, but their desire, her parents' desire for her to be released, is solely driven by them keeping up appearances.
Look, it's almost Christmas. What are we supposed to say to the people back home who care about her?
Then getting upset and leaving the family check-in at the mere suggestion that her diagnosis of being a borderline personality could be genetic. Although she didn't get much screen time, Susanna's mother sounds like a real piece of work. Doesn't sound like she grew up in the healthiest of households. Pivoting to Polly's story, or at least what's shown to us, she's the victim of a house fire. Unlike Georgina's wild tale of how she received her scars by pouring gasoline on herself and lighting herself on fire. And yes, this trauma places Polly in a state of arrested development. In the film, her diagnosis is schizophrenia, and poor Polly knows her fate and is sad that she has to live with these scars. It's emotionally traumatizing for her. But was being institutionalized really the best place for her? When watching this again and learning Polly was only 16 years old and not like an adult, that made some of her reactions to certain situations seem very on par with her age and not as offbeat as the film tried to make her appear. And Georgina, Susanna's roommate, a 17-year-old with a fascination for all things Oz, is categorized as a pathological liar as a teenager. Seems to know how to separate reality from fantasy based on the very last conversation we see between her and Susanna before Susanna's release. Then there's Daisy. Daisy's character is tough to talk about. Obviously, her issues are a direct result of her father's abuse. Yet her father has continued access to her, which progresses into isolated access once he buys her that apartment when she gets better. And not once is the focus ever on his degenerate mind, rather her self-harm. She gets treated, yes, but what good is the treatment if the cause and the source of the trauma remains untouched? And while this film is female-led and focused, and we love that, in the darkness lurks a few men who are the culprit for their current situations. We've already touched on Daisy's abusive father, but while not a major part of the story, it's significant enough to be highlighted at least twice that the main character, Susanna, had an adult male predator of her own. Her classmate's dad, the professor, the ultra creepy professor that kept following her around at her dad's birthday party, trying to sleep with her again. And as expected, for the times we're in, both men are protected. The professor's wife, Mrs. Gilchrist, actually blames Susanna for her husband's indiscretions with a teenager and thought she was actually deserving of being institutionalized for life.
You know, I know all about you, and I hope they put you away forever.
And Daisy continuously protects the image of her own abuser, speaking highly of him and his deli and what he does for her. Yet Daisy and Susanna are both the ones who are hospitalized, prodded, poked, drugged, and diagnosed, while their abusers continue to be seen as the socially acceptable ones. The girls carry the stigma, with blame being redirected away from the actual adults. Over and over, we see these young women simply reacting to neglect, abuse, exploitation, and emotional abandonment, while the adults, like the professor and the dad, and even Susanna's mom, continue on living their lives. And we can't discuss this film without mentioning another central character, Lisa Rowe, the popular girl, the mean girl, the villain, who's been diagnosed as a sociopath. And yes, her diagnosis does actually align with all of her actions in the film. She was institutionalized since age 12 and is also the internal source who does just as much labeling of others as the doctors do. Lisa's cancerous tongue ironically serves as an enforcer of the labels that have been attached to these women, despite her entire character being positioned as the subversive one.
Lisa thinks she's hot shit because she's a sociopath.
I'm a sociopath.
No, you're a dyke.
Angelina Jolie played the role exceptionally well. Everyone is drawn to Lisa's magnetism and charisma, all except for Daisy.
In your room, Daisy. I'm right fucking here.
Which is why it was so shocking that Lisa's monologue was the one that actually broke Daisy in the end, as Daisy presented in the film as the one and only powerhouse to stand up to Lisa, the only woman, well, aside from Mrs. Owens, the head nurse, who wasn't intimidated by Lisa. She pushed back the way others wouldn't, but it was clear that she was cracking all along. Lisa's exposure of Daisy's obvious denial got the best of her. And the cruelest thing about this film is the humiliation that Daisy had to bear, while her abuser never had to answer for what he did. This film had a shockingly poor reception when it was released. Maybe 1999 wasn't the right time for this sort of dialogue, or maybe competing against films like The Matrix, Fight Club, Sixth Sense, Eyes Wide Shut, and American Beauty. It just never stood a chance. But I think that this film did age exceptionally well and still touches on very relevant issues today. The biggest one being, don't lean into labels that people place on you if that's not truly who you are.